finding that I don't know how to speak, or rather, I don't know who I am in a way. So this video is going to be a way for me to kind of somewhat address that. And it's about finding my authenticity, or finding my voice, so to speak, as a online content creator. And it's not the first time I've felt feelings of this variation. Every time I'm asked to write like an about me, when I was writing my about me page on my website, like the introduce yourself, and understanding that there is a lot of power in the way that I choose in terms of what I share about myself, the tone that I use, the language, the way I speak. All of those things influence your perception of me. And so I find myself thinking, okay, who do I want the internet, scary dark world, wide web, to know me as? And it begs the question of, who am I as well? And I realized that, I think, and everybody's like this, where your identity is fragmented, I think, when it comes to the different people that you interact with. The way I am as a family member versus like as a daughter, a sibling, is very different to the way I am with certain friends. And that's very different to my professional career and the way I conduct myself as a leader and manager. I'm very different with the different relationships and the dynamics I have with people in life. So, in my day-to-day role, and I play two parts here, I am a partner building a multi-million-dollar education business, and I manage people. And so the way I talk to my partners, to the people I interact with at the company, is a very certain way. I'm very direct, pragmatic, playful, definitely myself, quote unquote myself, my authentic self. But my role, just given my role, I'm a very cut to the chase, get shit done type of person. And it's also the culture that we've cultivated in the company. So there's that. Then there is the me educating a lot of students who are like people who are starting their own businesses. And so the way I conduct myself there, and oh my God, there is an ant crawling. Okay, let's get this sorted. Sorry. There is an ant crawling on the camera, so that was weird. Where was I? Yes, so the education, but yeah, so I teach people and I help them with their businesses. And so the way I speak in these calls is also very pragmatic. I'm very direct. I'm not really here to waste anybody's time. People are in the program to hear honest, direct truths about how they can build their own businesses. So I'm not really here to kind of be cutesy, so to speak. And the cutesy side, the soft-spoken me, the cutesy side of me, the more, what's the word? Not professional. Professional's not the word. Maybe polished. Maybe polish is the word I'll use, right? There's definitely that side of me where in my previous employment, my very first employment really, in corporate, I was surrounded by all these women. And so the way I spoke and my personality was very bubbly, and I'm typically very exuberant, and I'm very chit-chatty. I like to talk about clothes and skincare and makeup and... Sorry, I'm distracted by the nature around me. Makeup and all of these things, and that's the way I would conduct myself. But then when I at 21 went to an AI startup, I was working as a business analyst there, and it was a startup that was full of men, older men, at least 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years my senior in some cases. And it was interesting. I found my personality morphing and I was a bit of a chameleon, right? I started adapting to the people I was constantly surrounded around. And so at the AI startup, I started becoming a lot more pragmatic. I was very concise, direct, developed a bit of like a dad joke humor. Stayed for like 2.5 years. So it was a great influence on me. But yeah, so, I was just thinking of like all these different facets of myself. And I started thinking about YouTube. And I started thinking, what is my voice? What's the brand that I'm trying to build here? And, I never had this much trouble when I was, doing content for LinkedIn, when I was doing content in the education community and stuff like that, because I had a purpose, I had a goal, and I had an audience, right? So for LinkedIn, I was doing inbound lead generation. And so what happened was I knew that I was targeting very specific people. I was targeting marketers, I was targeting SaaS tech companies, CEOs, CMOs, things like that. And so the tone that I adopted and the way I wrote, the way I conducted myself was done very specifically to attract that persona that I was trying to target to sell my services to, which worked a charm. But and then with YouTube, I suppose this is truly one of the only things that, from a content perspective, where it's kind of truly mine to morph. There's not really a goal to this. There's not necessarily a end person to this. I think I have something to say equally to both men and women from ages 16, 15, all the way to 30, 40, 50 plus. There's not really a demographic there that I'm directly talking to. And I think maybe that's why it's so hard. I don't know who I'm talking to, and I don't necessarily have like a strict agenda or plan of my content and who I want to target, right? It's going to be a very equal mix of education videos, me teaching something that I know, and also life advice videos, things I wish I knew when I was 18, 19, 20, even just a year ago. And in saying that, people who are in the stages of a business or a stage in their life that I've been through. So it's very hard for me to conduct myself. And so this video is really just about finding that voice, if you will. It's not going to be edited. There is no scripts. I'm just talking, talking directly. And I suppose I'm going to get better at this as time goes on. And, without all the edits and the scripts and things like that, I would imagine that the way I speak right now is authentic. Not to say that my other personas and roles are inauthentic. There's just a certain way and dynamic that I've developed in those circumstances that is most effective. And that's the key, actually. It's not necessarily about being a chameleon and adapting to people around you, but it's really just about adapting to what is effective communication for the people around you. Talking to mothers, play a little bit sweet. It's sweet and cutesy. Talking to older men, direct, straightforward. Don't want to waste their time. So yeah, this is it's a really interesting journey that I'm going through as I'm creating these YouTube videos. I'm trying to find my stride with how I talk. I've done a lot of analysis and observations about these other YouTube channels that I'm drawing inspiration of, and I find myself thinking, oh my God, maybe I should be more funny, maybe I should be more quirky. Oh, like this person's just so effortlessly, I don't know, what's the word, like funky, and I love it, but I don't think that's me, and perhaps there's a way I can play it up and I'm not quite sure how to. So I find myself overthinking these things as I'm making these videos, and that's why it's just taking forever for me to get started and to create these videos. But in terms of next steps of how I'm going to tackle this whole, this is a brand of me, because again, if you are a company, if you are a brand with an agenda, such as selling a service or a product or whatever, then you know who your buyers are, you know who your target is. And so the way you conduct yourself is going to live very much into what your audience would expect, right? But if you're starting from scratch, like I am, and there's not necessarily a gender, there's not even really a niche. I don't really even have a niche yet. So that's a whole nother issue. But, you know, in this position, how I'm going to tackle this is, first of all, I'm going to make these type of videos. Will I always publish them? No. But I think it's good to just sit here and talk, unfiltered, whatever comes to mind about a certain topic, and talk about it. I'm very good at talking. So that's the first thing we want to do. And I think over time, as I get more used to talking in front of a camera like this and speaking directly, unfiltered, I'm going to develop a sense of my own style and what is naturally authentic to me, without thinking that there is somebody there apart from you who is watching this. So that's going to be the first thing. I'm just going to document a bit more about my journey and unfiltered thoughts. That's the first thing. The second thing is I might just start playing it a little bit with the data. And I don't know about this yet, but I think what's really interesting is, you know, I'm looking at my statistics from my 2 other videos, and a majority of the people who click on and watch are females. I think it's like a 60% skew. And in terms of age demographic, anywhere between 18 to 30-year-old, right? And so, you know, I couldn't help resist thinking, okay, seems like females like to watch me, which means should I play up a little bit more and just be a bit more bubbly, charismatic? I don't know. So there's a part of me that thinks, oh, maybe I should adjust my tone and language, and the things I speak would be relatable to women. But then I also think I don't necessarily ever want to be somebody who just solely addressed women or just solely addressed men. I wanted to be, it is very indiscriminate who I talk to. I think anybody who finds this helpful is going to find it helpful, right? But obviously my experiences is as a woman, and I anticipate that there are going to be a lot of future videos where I am speaking from my perspective, and sometimes me being a female does affect the perspective in which I speak about and the experiences that I go through, and women would relate to that more than men. So there's that kind of element of it. So yeah, I don't know. I think as I create more videos, I think one thing I would imagine that I'd do is probably let that data also drive the way I adjust and speak. But then that's kind of weird because I attract people when I stay because I'm speaking to myself. Anyway, so again, still figuring it out. I don't really know how I'm going to approach it there. But I suppose one thing I can start to do is start thinking about what do I not want to be known for on the internet, and how do I not want to be sound and come off across on the internet. And, you know, being a really pragmatic, direct, straight to the point person is a person that I am, but it's not when I am in these chatty videos and instances like this. I am pragmatic, concise, direct when it comes to teaching. Actually, I'm noticing a quirk. I smile a lot when I talk, which was really interesting because actually when I was in the AI startup, I tried to not smile so much because I wanted people to take me seriously because I was just so young, so inexperienced, and I was, you know, very intimidated by my peers who were brilliant and great, but it was very new to me. So there's that element to it. But yeah, so I think I've lost my train of thought now. But the point is, it's going to be a learning journey for me. I think finding your voice as a creator in this instance of starting from scratch, not really knowing what your brand is and your persona is something I think and I know the answer to this is that I'm going to get better with time. I'm going to develop their own style with time, and not only just time, it's actually just practice. So the answer to it is just create more videos and I'll find my style and my groove, and I shouldn't really expect to really be great at being myself, which sounds really silly. Great at being myself when I'm starting out. So yeah, that's it. That's the video for today. I'm really curious that if you're a creator, how you've kind of tackled this, you know, if you have a brand, if you don't have a brand, if you have a set audience, if you don't have a set audience. I'm really quite interested to hear about how you're tackling this, whether this was an issue for you or whether I'm just overthinking it, which I also do tend to do, because I'm a perfectionist and it's difficult for me to just not over-engineer things and try to over-engineer the way I come across and my brand and what I'm trying to do. But I suppose I'm going to let this video speak for itself, and I'd love to hear what tips you have, what you're doing, and whether you can resonate. So yeah, I might actually do a few of these series just in my whole content creation journey, the things I'm coming across, and there's a lot that I'm coming across, a lot of issues, a lot of challenges, so to speak. But yeah, thank you if you made it this way. I hope you enjoyed that small little rant or ramble, and I'll catch you in my next video. Thanks for watching. This is really cool. I don't know if I want to put this in, but do you see this? It's like an amazing glass. Not very practical for when you're drinking water out of it though. It's really big.